couple of years ago, we hear that Jussie Smollett has been attacked on the streets. And everyone that has two neurons to form a synapse would wonder, how on earth does this happen? It was the middle of the winter. Apparently, he went out for a Subway at 2 a.m. in the morning, because apparently millionaires cannot just order food at home. And he's attacked by two individuals because he is black and because he is gay. And they also had the noose with them. Now, any person reasonable enough would press X to doubt. But then you have the media and the politicians, and they were like, oh, only in Trump's America. And they had like this joy on their face. Like you could see how happy they were to present this. In Trump's America. See, if you had voted for Hillary Clinton, none of this would have happened. She would have used her democratic powers in order to influence the very fabric of society, to influence how people are thinking, and prevent this horrible hate crime from taking place in one of the most liberal cities in the US. But now, years later, we actually have the perpetrators going around on Fox News and explaining how it happened. And I find this very interesting. The reason they come out and they're explaining it is because they feel as if Jussie Smollett has pushed them under the bus. So let's listen to that explanation.
They took our beautiful bench. This is where we waited for Jussie to come before we attacked them. So we got here with 10 minutes to spare, and we had to plan our escape route to survey the land. His building is actually right here, right above the stairs that we're going to attack him at. We made sure we got there at 2 a.m. sharp.
On the dot.
On the dot. We had no phones because he did not want us to bring any phones. He said, so we don't lose them. I don't know if that's really the reason, but...
I mean, the way they explained it in the newspaper is that they thought this is going to be a social media thing. They wanted to become Hollywood actors, and they thought that this is the way to do it. So they didn't really realize that this thing is going to go out of hand. They didn't expect that the police is going to be involved. They didn't expect that this is going to be on the primetime news. And again, Jussie Smollett was invited to several talk shows. None of the journalists even implied that, hey, you know, aren't you making this up? Or, hey, isn't it a little bit weird? I mean, it was freezing outside. Why did you go out at 2 a.m. in the morning at night? Yeah. Where did you manage to find these two white supremacist gentlemen in the middle of a liberal city? There are other black people here. Why did they target you specifically? How did they know that you are gay? Because it doesn't, it's not displayed on your face or anything. None of those questions were ever asked.
You can deduce your own reason. So 2 a.m., he was nowhere to be found. He was not there. So we were like, damn, what do we do?
Imagine being late for your false flag. Like, you get one, you orchestrated yourself, and you're late for the event.
We didn't have no way of contacting him. He had no way of contacting us. So we waited here for about, what, 4 minutes?
It was about 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
4 minutes in the cold. Yikes.
But it felt like...
maybe this is like what he does on set as well. I mean, he's an actor. This is what he does for a living. So he's late on set. He was late for his fake hate crime, I guess.
Forever.
Because it was cold as balls.
Yeah, exactly. Like the moment I saw that, that's what I was thinking, because I live in Eastern Europe, so I understand how cold it's like. Like, who goes out at 2 a.m. in the morning? The only reason to go out at 2 a.m. in the morning is if it's an emergency or you have a job or something. Like, no one just goes to get a Subway in the middle of the winter when you can just pick up the phone and you have someone deliver it to you.
So I saw him out the corner of my eye, and I was like, okay, that's him. Let's go. We gotta go get this. The street, we said hey to get his attention, turned around, looked at us, and that's when we started yelling the famous slurs he wanted us to yell. Hey.
I love the fact that a list of slurs was provided. How does a liberal, forward-thinking person like Jussie Smollett even know the slurs? How does it happen? Because I understand you have like this thing called implicit bias, right? So it's like what the progressives are trying to remove. so that you don't even think about it. So why are these slurs even in his vocabulary? How could he even provided them to someone else? They're really bad slurs, by the way, like very generic. Nothing tailored to the person, let's say it this way.
It's MAGA country. And then he said, what did you say to me? And then that's when I threw the first punch at him.
I mean, it's so orchestrated, right? Like, it's MAGA country, and all of a sudden, like, this is not how people even fight on the street, right? Because I grew up in a very interesting neighborhood where people from multiple walks of life lived. I use the leftist terminology of my time. And when you have, like, two people fighting, usually they start off slow, you know, like, hey, you, hey. And then they start shoving each other. It's like, oi, oi, oi. Yeah? Like, it escalates gradually, especially when it's a stranger. Usually when it's a stranger, people try to rob him. Like, they don't really go after his identity or something like that. Like, when you go into a street brawl, you can get injured, right? Like, it's always risky. So, like, there needs to be something to gain. Either that can be, like, the reputation, right? Like, the street cred, or financial compensation, or anything. But, like, no one just goes on the street and starts beating up people for no reason. Like, usually they start mouthing off, and if the other person mouths back, well, now it's a matter of reputation, because it's like, look, you try to put him in his place, you try to check that dude, and now that dude is mouthing back at you, so now you got a reputation to maintain. I'm not justifying this type of behavior, but I'm explaining it, right? So, like, the idea that you're just walking down the street and someone just comes up punching at you makes absolutely no sense. Like, if someone showed me that, I would say, yeah, I mean, it can happen, but it's incredibly rare, very bizarre.
Held the blow because I didn't want to hurt him, of course. So I made it look real, but I held it. Then we started tussling, moving around, and then I threw him to the ground. He wanted it to look like he fought back. That was very important for him.
This is the self-insert, isn't it? Like, he wrote the script. It's like, I want to fight back.
Because he said, hey, don't just beat my ass. Make it look like I'm fighting back and whatnot. So we did that, and then I threw him to the ground.
I mean, I'm looking at Jussie Smollett, and then I look at these two gentlemen. There is no fighting back. Like, if these two gentlemen want to be roughed up, there is absolutely no way that you're lifting a finger, right? Like, even one of these gentlemen is enough to check an individual. Like, let alone two of them. But I love it, you know? Like, he hires these two gentlemen. Like, you have to look at them like this in order to talk to them. And he's like, yeah, I wanna be like, I'm fighting back. Bro, there's no way. Like if I see you fighting back on the videotape, I'm like, yeah, this is fake. Look, if these individuals poke you, it will hurt really bad and you're not getting up. Like, there is no fighting back against them.
And while after I threw him to the ground, he had no bruise. I wanted it to look more real. So then I threw him to the ground. After I threw him to the ground, I used my knuckle and gave him a noogie. So I went like this.
He got a noogie, and he actually went into the papers with the noogie. And again, it looks so fake. It's like, dude, if these two gentlemen, because you saw them on camera, if these two gentlemen want to rough you up, you're going to get more than a noogie. But anyway, right, that was interesting, you know. I guess the authoritative sources were to be trusted that day, because they told me that this was legit, and this was MAGA country, and this is why this doesn't happen anymore, because it's not MAGA country, right? So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.